growing up and being conditioned to be the good girl, the nice girl, and then you go on about life and you realize that people, structures, systems, they don't even freaking play by these good rules or nice rules. And we're the only ones getting fucked over because of it. So you know what? Be in your damn villain era. If it means being true to yourself, being true to your values, being true to your beliefs, being true and living a life that's not a freaking lie. If being the villain means you're standing up for yourself, that you're speaking your truth, even if it means other people want you to be silent because it makes them look a certain way, it makes them feel a certain way, it puts the mirror back on them on the work that they need to do, that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to show up as yourself, as your true self, whatever the fuck that means for you. And you can't also know who that is if you're too focused on how am I being perceived? Oh gosh, how are people feeling? Because I'm gonna say this and this is what feels right for me, but they might not like it. They might not like how I look, how I present myself, how it may make them feel a certain way. Make it. That's literally on them. That's not your responsibility. If they feel smaller, then maybe they need to go within themselves, and that's the work they need to do. But that doesn't mean that you need to be smaller, that you need to I'm just gonna like hide in the corner and I'm just gonna like not say anything and not express myself in a way. That's not doing anyone a favor, and that's not doing you a favor. That's not friggin' doing your little self a favor, your inner child, your inner teenager who came in this life using you and trusting you as a vessel to show up, to express, to be curious, to explore, to evolve. And they're out here just like, okay, how long do we have to wait until you realize that people are gonna feel whatever they're gonna freaking feel? And really, that's not your responsibility. How are you feeling? Oof, maybe that's something that's not a question that you usually ask yourself, because it's like, who, me? To think of me? That's so selfish. That is so, that's not good, and that's not holy, and that's not, well, damn. You know what? If you don't think about yourself, for example, if you don't feed yourself, if you don't clothe yourself, bathe yourself, apart if you're still a baby, have nuance. But if you are already in that stage where it is your responsibility, you are your own responsibility, and you're just out here waiting for permission to clothe yourself, to bathe yourself, to go out and explore the world, girl, you're looking like a fool, because no one is going to give you that permission, because they don't want you I'm not saying that there's not people who want you to step into your power, but there's also people who rather see you not excel and not step into that because you're gonna be looking better than them, or you're gonna make them feel a certain type of way. There goes the cycle again. Aren't you tired of that cycle? Doesn't it make you go manic in the worst way? Go manic in the best way. Go manic in a way that frees yourself of these expectations, of these chains, of these rules that are put on you, but then they're not playing the same rules. They get to do, they get to express, they get to say, but then when I say be in your villain era, that doesn't mean be a fucking dick. Okay? Nuance. That is the word of 2025. Nuance. That doesn't mean I'm out here just causing havoc and I don't know myself and I'm out here just expecting and projecting my emotions and expectations on everybody else because I expect everybody else and everything else in certain places, things, or events to make me feel good, but then I haven't done that work within myself. Nuance, that's your responsibility. Now, being the villain means you set boundaries. You have expectations of yourself and of others, and they don't meet it. You have the choice to be like, this person is not for me. And therefore, I am removing myself, I'm removing the access of me in their lives. And if they feel some type of way about that, they perceive it as an attack on them, so be it, because my responsibility is to me, my peace, my path. And we are not asking permission, and nor do we have to explain ourselves and teach other people, this is why I'm doing this, this is the reason why, this is the backstory, this is the context. If they don't see it and if they don't feel it, they're not your people. Your people will know why you're doing things. They'll understand you. You don't have to freaking go into a whole seminar on explaining who you are, why you do things, how you operate, how you've become who you've become. Because honestly, when you have to do that, unless it's, again, nuance, if it's someone who truly wants to understand, but for the most part, when people ask you to explain and over explain and whatnot, it's not to understand you, it's to pinpoint holes and put doubt in you and look for evidence that shows them what they want to see versus what you're trying to explain or who you are. They're looking for evidence of that version of themselves, because we are all mirrors, but version of you that they see within themselves. That's the version, that's the evidence that whatever you're seeing, whatever you're doing, whatever you're you present as, whatever the message is, you could be like, I love you and I hope the best for you. And they could take it as that they fucking hate me. And did you hear that? She said that she hopes the best for me. She actually means she hopes the worst for me. They'll literally do mind circuses in their mental, spiritual, because it's that disconnect. And it's not your job to connect what is disconnected. And it's gonna feel like, if I just stay here and if I just explain to them why it's important, and you're wasting your freaking time, because that's not your job. Your job is to show up as you. And if that is taken as like, oh, they're the villain, you know what? I'm gonna be a fine ass villain. Okay, whatever, I'll be the villain in your story. I know who I am in my story, but in your story, sure, fine, whatever. I digress. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to show up as you, be you, and the people who are for you, be with them, commune with them, talk with them, because they're gonna understand you. They're gonna understand your language, what you're doing, even if you come from different backgrounds, even if you have different missions, even if you look different. There's an understanding and a mutual respect at that as well. Don't stay where you're not appreciated or respected. So I want to go deeper on what appreciation means. It means where you're at, do they see your value? Do they support that? Encourage you to keep honing on what you are good at and who you are, so that you become that version of yourself? And it all also starts with, do you see your own value? Are you expecting others to see your value and trying to like persuade them and say, look at me and look at my value? But then it's like, who are you trying to convince? Them or yourself? Convince yourself first, to the point where you know your value, so that you don't have to have other people validate your value. Be like, look at me, I am an asset, I am a prize, I am awesome. And you keep saying that, and like looking for people to give you the, yeah, you are. But are you giving that to yourself? That can be hard, right? And it goes back to, oh, it's in me, it's within me. But I'd rather have you hear it this way than you going about life just looking around, waiting, like, look at me, don't look at me. No, gosh. Decide. Do you want to know yourself? Do you want to be yourself? That takes courage. That takes not giving, okay, take that back. You would give a fuck, but then the biggest fuck that you'll give is what you feel and what you think. Because we are human, so what other people think and feel and say, perceive, whatnot, that does affect us. But then you also get to choose, and it takes practice on how much it affects you. Will it affect you to the point that you're just paralyzed and you just stay in a corner your whole life, just not wanting to be seen, heard, step on anyone's toes or make anyone feel any type of way, and then you're like feeling some type of way yourself because you see other people living the life that they've created, like, why can't I do that? Why do they get to do that? Well, how about if you change your perception and say, they got to do that and choose that for themselves? How can I do that too for myself? What's possible for others are also possible for us. Of course, new ones again, if someone has some physical, mental limitations, we have different privileges. So, nuance. But work with what you have, you know, work with what you have and play the role that you want to play in your life. And you have to figure that out. You have to try different roles. And you don't need to just be the good, the demure, the nice girl, because everyone loves that. How about if you don't want to be that? How about if there is some instances, some people who gets access to that version, but you get to also unlock other versions of yourself? That's fun. It gets to be fun. It gets to be messy. Like, allow yourself not to have to be perfect all the time. So, I hope that this message, and I know that this message will land for those that truly resonate with it. Be the villain, be the good girl, be the mother, be the maiden, be the huntress, be the warrior, be everything and everyone, so long as it is being true to yourself. And that's your responsibility. And it's not our responsibility to teach others to be themselves, to know themselves. If they're not actively doing that for themselves, you guys are just wasting each other's time, and your time is valuable because you are valuable. Okay? Have an awesome rest of your week. I love you guys.